Welcome to TrainLegal.Asia's Law Series. My name is K. Padma. In this video, we will be talking about debt recovery, and our focus is on evaluating your clients. Is evaluation of clients important in debt recovery? Of course it is. For a very simple reason, at least we know where we stand. And we all believe that precaution is better than cure. In order to evaluate your clients, I think one of the first things we would like to look into is the background of the companies. Companies in Malaysia and businesses are divided into corporate bodies, sole proprietorship, and partnership. We need to see the effects of each one of these entities as far as debt recovery is concerned. We start with corporate bodies. The common corporate bodies in Malaysia are private limited companies or Sdn Berhads. Well, are they good as far as debts are concerned? Well, let's understand that under the Companies Act 2016, Section 9 says, in order to have a corporate body, a Sdn Berhad, you have to have a name, one or more members, and one or more shares. And Section 20 says that a company is a corporate entity of its own. Section 21 says that as a corporate entity of its own, it is able to do transactions, it's able to own properties, it can sue and be sued in its own capacity. So the million-dollar question is, by directors of companies especially, are they liable for the debts of the company? According to Solomon & Solomon, an English case, it was decided that a corporate body has got its legal entity of its own. As such, it can sue and be sued under its own name. Basically means directors and the other members, shareholders of the companies are not liable for the debts owed by the company. So you're not able to go after the directors. So that puts you in a precarious position, because only when we are able to go after people personally are they afraid and will take the trouble to pay. They are more serious about paying. But when they know they cannot be touched because there's a corporate veil protecting them, well, that makes it difficult for you. But it's not impossible, because we have got various legal options to actually get our money. But the easiest way, of course, my advice is, when you enter into a contract with the corporate bodies and you're offering credit to them, get a personal guarantee letter from the directors. Get a personal guarantee letter from the directors. A personal guarantee letter basically says that the directors will pay the debts owed by the company should the company not be able to pay. Now, this puts you in a better position, because if the company doesn't pay, you go after the directors personally. Now, that makes them more afraid. As such, the chances of recovery is higher. Apart from looking into the directors and the personal guarantee letter, when you're dealing with a corporate body, another thing you need to look into is also the paid-up capital. Because if you have one director, one shareholder, the minimum paid-up capital could be just 1 ringgit. Now, that's not too good, is it? So one of the things you are looking for here is, how high is the paid-up capital of these organizations, these corporate bodies? Because we believe that the higher the paid-up capital, the lower your risk. The lower the paid-up capital, the higher your risk. I think that is a known fact. So please check with the Companies Commissions of Malaysia, or SSM in Bahasa Malaysia. Check to see what their paid up capital is. You can ask for the relevant forms from your client to ensure that you are aware of what you are getting into. The other kind of businesses in Malaysia, sole proprietorship. Sole proprietorship, what's the risk of debts with them? Now, a sole proprietorship, if you want to check how secure they are, we do not have paid up capitals. They do not have paid up capital for a sole proprietorship. So as such, the only way to find out how good they are financially is to check their bank balance or the bank statements. Yeah, get about 3 months or 6 months bank statements from them. Check to see how good their transactions are. From there, it will give you an indication as to what credit you should give them or whether you should give them any credit at all in the first place. But the good news dealing with sole proprietors is if you deal with a sole proprietorship does not have a legal entity of its own. As such, the sole proprietors can sue and be sued personally. So if a sole proprietorship does not pay you, you are allowed to sue them in their personal capacity. That makes them more afraid and they actually will try their best to actually pay you. That's sole proprietorship. So you don't need to get a personal guarantee letter from sole proprietors. Partnership. Under the Partnership Act, 1961, we find that in order to have a partnership, you need to have at least 2 or more persons join running a firm. So we will call it a firm because when you get into a partnership, that's what it will be. Now, partnership, do they have paid up capitals? None. The conventional partnerships do not have paid up capitals as well. As such, the only way to check their security is to again do what you did for the sole proprietors. Check their bank statements, 3 or 6 months bank statements. That will give you an indication how good they are financially. And again, with the conventional partnerships, if they do not pay, you can sue the partners directly because the conventional partnerships do not have a legal entity of their own. So they can be sued in their personal capacity. And the good news, of course, is you don't need to find every single partner because in a partnership, most of the time they are jointly and severally liable. As such, one partner could be liable for the debts owed by the firm even though it was the act of another partner. So that puts us in a better position as well. They are jointly and severally liable. We don't need to get a personal guarantee letter from partners. And then we have the Limited Liability Partnership, which was created by the Limited Liability Partnership Act 2012. And the difference, it is also a partnership. You need 2 or more partners. The difference between this and the conventional partnership is that in these LLPs or limited liability partnership, they do have a legal entity of their own, just like the corporate bodies, just like a private limited company. They do, which basically means the partners in a limited liability partnership cannot be sued. The limited liability partnership or LLP, they can sue or be sued on their own, in their own capacity. So, safety, you also need to get a personal guarantee letter from these partners of a limited liability partnership. That will put you in a more secure position. Having said all of this, you also need to know whether it's a corporate body, the directors, or a sole proprietor, or the partners. Please do further checking. The further checking that you actually want to do is you would like to check whether these organizations, these corporate bodies are registered in accordance with the Malaysian law. In short, you need to find whether they are registered with SSM, the Companies Commission of Malaysia, CCM. The reason for it is very simple, because if you have a company which is not registered with CCM or SSM, then when you afford them credit and they don't pay, you will not be able to sue them. You can make a police report for fraud, but you will not be able to sue them. The reason you won't be able to sue them is very simple, because they are not a registered entity. They don't exist. Legally, they don't exist. So it's difficult to sue them. So the maximum you can do is make a police report, and, well, it probably will be a write-off when the auditors come around. And the other thing you like to check is the status of the individuals running the company. When I say the status of the individuals running the company, basically what I'm talking about is whether they are insolvent or solvent. We have had situations where directors of a company or even partners or sole proprietors are actually bankrupts. And as such, if you have afforded credit to them, you will not be able to go after them personally. The reason you won't be able to go after them personally is they're bankrupts. Bankrupts cannot be sued. Simple as that. That's the law. Those are the regulations. So if a person is a bankrupt, you will not be able to touch them at all. As such, again, your money is on a one-way street. So you need to check that as well. So apart from checking the paid-up capital in Sdn Bhd, we also need to check whether you have got the personal guarantee letters. That's very important. As for the sole proprietors and partnership, you don't have to worry about personal guarantee letters, as they can be sued directly. In LLPs, you need to get a personal guarantee letter because they are legal entities in their own capacity. So, check them. Make sure you're on safe grounds. Ensure you're not dealing with anyone who's a bankrupt. Ensure that the companies are properly registered with the Suruhanjaya Syarikat Malaysia, or in English, the Companies Commission of Malaysia. Put yourself on safe grounds. Ensure that you have taken the precautions so that in the long run, you will find that debt recovery is not a major headache for you. Precaution is better than cure. Thank you.